devil statue is holding a cup containing fire and a spear held in reverse. On the other hand, the angel statue had a sword and a crown. Sung Woo is wondering what these things could mean, or maybe the statues imply what each faction has to pursue. Whatever their dreams are, they can no longer be fulfilled. Righty smashes the Devil Stone statue with a head-on sword strike, and in retaliation, the Devil faction increases the bounty on Sung Woo by 50,000. Due to the breaking of the Devil statue, the levels and bonuses provided by the Devil faction were removed from the nearby players. A notification pops up informing Sung Woo that he has completed the hidden quest by destroying 3 Absolute Race statues. Another notification by the title of Great Moment Establishment pops up. His goal is to choose the faction's home base. His initial operating capital is 30,000 gold. Sung Woo has passed the test for becoming the progenitor of a new faction and has finally obtained the qualification to establish a new faction. Sung Woo first needs to assign a home base. For the faction's eternal development, Sung Woo needs to select a safe and great area and lay the foundations of a 100-year plan. Sung Woo needs to assign a home base within 72 hours. Once a home base is assigned, it cannot be arbitrarily modified. Hanho found an item that looked the same as the horn of the devil statue. This is a legendary consumable item known as a devil horn fragment. On usage, the user can move to a devil statue within a certain range for a single time. It cannot be used to move to an angel faction or the third faction location. Its description says that in case the stone statues are destroyed, they can be used as a last resort for escape. Sung Woo had his fun until now, enjoying the loopholes in the system, but with the establishment of the third faction, that fun is over. As Sung Woo is about to leave, Lee Minchul runs up to him and requests him to accept them in the third faction. Since the stone statue was destroyed, they received a huge penalty, and they were expelled from the devil faction as well. Sung Woo tells him that he is sorry, but that he cannot accept them in his faction. The third faction doesn't easily accept people. They can only join his faction by proving their worth by raiding dungeons. With that being said, Sung Woo leaves, and Lee Minchul says that even survival alone is difficult, and the Necromancer is talking about raiding the dungeons. After some time, Sung Woo arrives in Suwon. Hanho is trying to find something on the community forums. Hanho informs Sung Woo that Jiu Yun leaves no comments and that something might have happened to her. Sung Woo tells him to calm down and that Jiu Yun will be fine. Sung Woo wants to go and search for her right away, but there is a chance that things will get dangerous if he makes a move. There are still too many forces on the Korean server looking for him. There is that Evolution Society, the Reconstruction Alliance, and other potential enemies that have yet to be revealed. No matter how careful he is, if he tries to search a wide area like the Taebaek Mountains, then his movement will be known to others. It's not a problem if they target him, but it could make matters worse if they started targeting Jiu Yun. The wide area surveillance team of the Liberation Guild has many members, and they have outstanding capability. Sung Woo will wait for their report for now. The growth level of the World Tree is 2, and it has grown up to 83%. Spearman Kyungsoo informs Sung Woo that they don't need lights during nighttime as the World Tree illuminates a lot of light, and it also stands out because the surroundings have no light. The World Tree is pretty much a landmark right now, and hiding it will be useless. Hanho, with a severe face, says that they should use it since they cannot hide it. They can emphasize its sacred yet dominating presence to the people outside. A system message pops up asking Sung Woo if he wants to choose the location of the third faction's main base, and Sung Woo clicks on the yes option. Another notification pops up asking Sung Woo for the faction name. After choosing a name, it cannot be changed for 30 days, plus an enormous amount of gold is required to change it for the second time. Sung Woo has already thought up a good name for his faction. He names his faction the World Tree Faction. All players get a system notification. The system congratulates all players as a new faction has been established. All of its members will get faction quests just like the other two on. New features will open according to the faction rank. Another notification pops up informing Sung Woo that he has completed the faction quest for the establishment of Great Moment. Initial operating capital of 30 million will be given to him as a reward. Sung Woo got the title and was the first investor, and all of his stats increased by 3 points. He can now add regular members to the faction. The World Tree, also known as the Holy Tree of Life, becomes the symbol of the faction by satisfying a particular condition. The whole world gets a system message. The system informs the players worldwide that for the first time in the history of the Korean server, a player-led faction called World Tree Faction has been born. The Suwon town residents become overjoyed and happy after watching this system message. Spearman Kyungsoo says that the Suwon town members felt alienated for not being a member of a faction for a long time. All of a sudden, the Angel faction releases an emergency worldwide faction quest. Its title is the ominous segment Purification Project. Their objective is to disrupt the World Tree faction and kill the Necromancer leader. After completing the objective, they need to touch an angel statue. As a reward, they will be given 150 million gold coins and the highest position on the server. The Devil faction releases a worldwide quest as well. Its title says Stepping on Parasite Eggs and Bursting Them. Their objective is to offer the World Tree faction member corpses to the Devil Stone statue. After completing the objective, they need to touch the Stone of the Devil. They will be given 1 million gold for each World Tree faction member they kill, and the highest position on the server will be granted to the player with the most significant contribution. Sung-woo thinks these two factions have invested a lot of money in this quest and must feel threatened by his existence. Another world quest, named after the one who is hated by the world, pops up. It's a hunting or protecting type of quest. Their objective is to either hunt or defend the World Tree players. The rewards are different depending on the situation. Number 1, in case of hunting, 5 million gold for each World Tree faction player will be given, and on killing the first ancestor of the World Tree faction, 500 million gold will be given. In the case of protection, the first player of the World Tree faction is the most problematic in the world. He took actions that brought the two absolute races anger upon himself. As such, the two absolute races have decided not to leave him alone. This event is for the whole world and is not limited to the Korean server. The players must also choose whether they are going to follow the orders of the absolute race or resist them to join the new birth. The contents of this quest may change depending on the progress. After hearing about the reward on the head of Sung-woo, even Han-ho becomes a little bit inclined to kill him. The reward money is too big, and Sung-woo thinks that soon enough, the atmosphere will shift to that of a house full of people mourning a deceased person. Han-ho's dad goes into rage mode, and he asks, how dare they try to hunt us? Not just Han-ho's dad, everyone from Suwon Town becomes excited after thinking about how much experience and gold they will gain for free by killing the people who will come for their heads. Sung-woo is confused about how these people change from being naive to human-killing butchers. Spearman Kyung-soo informs him that their situation is different from when their only way of survival was running away. They will start preparing for this new fight, and this time, they will make a little bigger and perfect war plan. While talking to Kyung-soo, Sung-woo checks the image scale. It turns out the game maker is watching him. This time, Sung-woo will make things fun for this being, but with a completely unexpected twist. After some time, the Hwarang Guild from the Devil faction comes live to give their official standpoint on the World Tree quest. The Hwarang faction decides not to pursue the hunting of the World Tree faction. Some other minor factions within Korea support the World Tree faction. On the community forums, someone posts that this current situation is the same as a historical event. During the Donghak Peasant Revolution, they had to bring in foreign powers because they could not stop the peasant army. After this quest, people from foreign countries will come and make a mess of their Korean server while trying to hunt the Necromancer. Most of the Korean players support Necromancers as they don't want any foreign invaders on their land. A female player on the helicopter tells Dr. Yu, the top 10 ranked, that the world is a whole of incapable people who are too scared to look at the bigger picture. After some time, the helicopter arrives at a specific location and many players come out to greet Dr. Yu. A player by the name of Arhata says that this is the first time they have met him in person. Dr. Yu greets them and he asks if the elder came to the sea to greet them. Arhata informs Dr. Yu that the Yakuza boss hasn't moved to these remote places himself, but they have made sure to dispatch sufficient troops, so they ask for his understanding. Dr. Yu asks them about who is here in place of their boss. Arhata informs him that Chief Kata Akira has come in place of their boss. He is the Sword Saint, and he is in charge of educating the guild assistants. Doctor, you move into the chief room. Chief Okata is sitting there alone with a sword in front of him. All of a sudden, he releases a lot of aura. Dr. Yu gets a notification informing him that a sharp sense is looking through his identity. His profile information is partly exposed and his movements are being read. Chief Okata thanks Dr. Yu for coming all this way by himself. Dr. Yu thanked him in turn by saying that it was an honor to meet the Sword Saint. He points out to a sword, stating that it's his honor to stand behind the hilt of that sword. Chief Okata says that Dr. Yu knows the nickname that people call a joke on the Japanese server, and Dr. Yu seems to be very interested in Japan since the amount of information he has is impressive. After some time, they move to a more friendly room and eat food together. After having food, they enjoy special Japanese wine. Chief Okada asks Dr. Yu if the target they and the Evolution Society requested is this guy. Doctor, Yu confirm it by saying that he is the same guy who was pointed out by the world quest yesterday. Chief Okada says that he just came out here for a short outing, but this feels like catching a sea bream with a shrimp. If they manage to deal with the Necromancer first through the Korean server informant request, then that would be a huge achievement for their organization. Chief Okada tells Dr. Yu not to worry about the Necromancer as he is planning to dispatch his most precious special unit. Dr. Yu says that he once entrusted the request to the Korean server mercenaries, but they failed and the Necromancer must be preparing for a sneak attack. Chief Okada gives a killer look to Dr. Yu. He then flares up as he informs Dr. Yu that they are not some back alley mercenary trash. They are knights errant who hold the sword of honor and loyalty. Their skills are different from those of a handyman who works for a penny. Dr. Yu says he is correct, and no one dares to think lightly of Yamato Guild's sword. Still, this time, their opponent is not easy to deal with, but before a doctor can say anything, Chief Okada stops him by telling him to set his worries aside because they have the ninjas. Ninjas are an advanced class of assassins who specialize in deceiving, exploiting, and killing strong opponents. On top of that, they have received professional training that has been passed down from generation to generation. Creating synergy by gathering 15 ninjas of this caliber is definitely no easy task. Since their conversation seems to be over, Chief Okada is about to turn the ship around. Dr. Yu tells Chief Okada that it is his honor to meet him, but before Dr. Yu can leave, Chief Okada tells him that the Yakuza boss gave out orders to first receive the object before drawing out the sword. Dr. Yu tells him to rest assured that the item they requested will be delivered to them within a day. With that being said, Dr. Yu leaves the ship using the helicopter. The female player asks Dr. Yu about the boss of this Yakuza clan. Dr. Yu informs her that Yamato Guild's master is an older man who took control of Kyushu. He is an older man who couldn't awaken even after getting to level 22. He must be in a hurry since he is trying to collect items that are required for awakening, and they happen to have one of them, so they got a deal out of it. The female players ask if the ninjas can get the Necromancer for good. Dr. Yu gives off a grin and smiles while telling her that they only need the ninjas to buy them some time. Even if the Yamato Guild fails, they need to complete the plan. Then, everything will be over once they execute the plan. Meanwhile, on the other side of Suwon Town, Spearman Kyungsu says they told everyone that they were preparing for war, but their clan was not big enough. Sung-woo says that he is correct since they only selected a small number of elite players. Sung-woo did this in order to reduce the risk associated with the dependent population and to form a solid formation. Spearman Kyungsu says thankfully they have had almost zero death up until now, but that can't be guaranteed if they were to join a war. Their town's population is 226, and even if a small number of casualties were to occur, that would still be an irrecoverable blow. Spearman Kyungsu says that they cannot accept people recklessly, and Sergeant Kim says that it would be quite difficult to find those with evil intentions among the recruits. Sung-woo has a plan, as he thinks they need to lay a solid foundation first. Money, items, hunting, and anything that can be grown, they will raise to their limits. This is the beginning of a project aimed at militarizing the entire population's abilities for multi-personal combat. First, they will focus on items. After some days, they manage to create a new item thanks to the loot obtained from the Conflict Guild. This is a rare crossbow called the highest grade repeating crossbow, and it has a high-capacity magazine. A semi-automatic gear is attached to it, and a high-capacity magazine has been added to it. After equipping the magazine, 28 shots can be fired continuously. The Reconstruction Alliance produced this 8 continuous shot crossbow, but it was improved by the blacksmiths of the World Tree faction through the addition of 90,000 gold. If its performance is lacking, it's probably because the gold was not enough. Hanho gives a lecture to everyone, saying that they need to make the World Tree faction great again. They can proceed with everything since Sung-woo still has over 300 million gold coins. Their faction's next objective is hunting. The main hunting fields are always wiped out clean, but the new dungeons are filled and overflowing. Also, there are 4 large-scale dungeons so that they can take their pick. Sung-woo tells them to divide the players into groups that will carry out the dungeon raids, plus they will join the dungeon raids with him. Sergeant Kim asks Sung-woo if he is going to guide them by himself. Sung-woo flares up as he tells them to come quickly since he wants to get over this dungeon business. The next day, they arrive in a dungeon by the lake. This dungeon is known as the Troll's Crypt. After some hardcore fights, the guild members are quite exhausted. Sergeant Kim tells the exhausted members to rest assured as they will soon get to the return point. All of a sudden, the ground starts shaking as something approaches them. 4 trolls come running toward the players. The players get to their position as they know they can easily take care of them with their level and experience. Tanks take the head-on charge of the trolls while the casters cast some debuff magic on the trolls. After that, the players smash the legs of the trolls with ranged attacks. The players continue rampaging through the trolls, earning over 25,000 gold coins. Finally, they manage to reach the entrance to the second floor, which is also the return point. In a few hours, the World Tree faction members reach the surface, and the minions carry out the dead bodies of the trolls. Troll's Crypt was a large-scale dungeon with 3 floors, which was formed in Seoho Park, but they can get a lot of experience points by just raiding the first floor, exiting the dungeon, and then repeating the process without casualties. Spearman Kyung-soo says that it is a relief there are no casualties, but the faction members are exhausted to death. They had been raiding the dungeon non-stop for 11 hours straight, which made them familiar with every nook and cranny of the first floor. Sung-woo says, the more experience you obtain, the faster the raids get. The shorter their resting time will be, and they will get even more experience. An exhausted Lieutenant Kim says that even factory machines will break if you keep using them non-stop. Sung-woo says that how can you say it when it's a process that even Hanho endured. Back in their days, the 3 of them used to hunt monsters with food held in their mouths. Sung-woo asks them if this grinding trip is not effective. Hanho's father says that no one is dead, but there are many injured. Even if they heal them using potions, the mental fatigue will only continue to build up. Most of the elites of their faction, including Hanho's father and Sergeant Kim, have leveled up to 15, but they are worried as things are getting competitive and the newcomers are catching up to them. Hanho tells the citizens of Suwon Town that there is no time to rest as they should be moving the troll corpses before they spoil, and now, it is time for the collection and production phase of their faction. After some time, the wyverns arrive in Suwon Town with the newly acquired trolls. The workers have not yet dismantled the already acquired trolls, and the wyverns keep adding new trolls to the pile. With that being said, the players start draining the blood and removing the skin. The potion boxes in the storeroom are already filled to the brim, and there is no more space to store new stock. Troll's blood is used to make potions, but they lack some herbs that go along with the blood, so they send a team to gather more herbs from a nearby mountain. The collection team is already on edge, but the players ruthlessly feed them potions and send them to the mountains once again. Right now, the World Tree Factory is going through a rapid economic boom, and soon it will be filled with the best talent and materials. Things in Suwon Town are going well for now. The only thing Sung-woo is worried about right now is Jiu Yun. Someone tells Jiu Yun that you guys call us monsters. But looking at what Jiu Yun has done, he is not sure which one of them is a real monster. This entity turns out to be the king of the Great Mountain Range. Jiu Yun thinks that it might be difficult for her to return.